Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So my name is Dr. Umi. So now we move to our third chapter, which is related to the environments and corporate culture. So when we discuss about the environment in which is related to the ideas of corporate culture within the organization, so basically it's related to external or internal environment. All right, so we're discussing about the external organization environment, which reflect the all outside element that could affect the organization. So they have two levels. You can see the first one related to the task environment and also general environment. But before we go further, external organization environment, it includes all elements existing outside the boundary of the organization, and they have capability or they have potential to affect the organization itself. So it may include competitors, resources, technology, economic condition. Then this element will affect and have certain influence on the organization. So normally the task environment is quite close to the organization because it includes the sector that may relate to the day-to-day conduct and also relate to the day-to-day transaction, and also they're able to directly influence that may affect the ideas of operations and also performance. So it related to the ideas of customers, competitors, and also suppliers. On the other hand, general environment, it reflects the factor that affect organization indirectly. So it includes social, economic, legal, politic, internal, natural, and also technological factor, and it able to influence all organization equally. So it reflect towards the ideas of indirectly it happen. For example, if they have certain law that have been applied by the government within the country, so it not really affect the organization's environment, but indirectly it will able to affect the what we call the transitions, the productions, about the practice of the organization, because of the certain things that relate to the general environment. So this is actually the summary of what I just shared with you just now. So you can see this is the task environment. This is actually reflect directly towards the organization, and this is actually general environment. It's happened also, but it affect indirectly related to the change within the organization. Beside that, it also consists of organizational ecosystem, a system that form by the interaction among a communities of the organization environment. It may involve the certain informations about transactions, flow, linkage of necessary elements for the organization to achieve. And then it related to the internal environments element within the organization boundary. Means that within the people who work in the organization, for example, right? So it also related to the management, corporate cultures, define employee behavior, and also how well the organization able to adapt with the external environment. So let's discuss about task environment. So task environment, they have certain what we call a component or elements. So first of all, we discuss about the customers. I think you know what is actually the meanings of the customers. So customers ni related kepada people ataupun organisasi in the environment that acquire goods or services from the organisation. So selalunya mereka ni merujuk kepada pelanggan lah, selalunya yang akan mendapatkan production ataupun kita panggil barangan sebagai pembeli, ataupun memperolehi sebarang services daripada sebuah organisasi ataupun institusi itu. So competitors ni pula adalah pesaing, dengan arti kata lain adalah merujuk kepada organisation in the same industry or types of business that able to provide goods and services yang lebih kurang sama kepada customers tu. Selalunya kalau contoh kalau di Malaysia ni kita tengok KFC contohnya. Ada beberapa pesaing KFC sebab dia adalah fast food. Kita ada McDonald, kita ada A&W, kita ada Starbucks contohnya kan. And then kita ada Burger King. So itu adalah antara-antara competitors lah. Mereka mengadakan satu bisnes yang sama dan mereka juga memberi servis ataupun goods yang sama kepada customer. So customer ni dia boleh memilih. So itu adalah kita panggil bahayanya lah competitors ni. Tapi competitors ni kita perlu melihat kepada satu perspektif yang very positif. So, dia boleh menjadi satu budaya saing in a very positive way. For example, like in order to increase your services, in order to increase your quality of product. So, kita memerlukanlah elemen-elemen seperti competitors ni. Then it also involves suppliers. Suppliers also consists of people and organisation that provide the raw materials to the organisation used to produce its output. Supplier ni adalah kita panggil individu ataupun sesebuah institusi ataupun organisasi yang mana memberi ataupun menyediakan raw materials kepada sesebuah institusi itu untuk produce certain output. Contohnya kalau KFC ni dia mesti ada orang yang menjadi supplier kepada ayam dia punya tepung dan sebagainya kan. And then supply chain adalah refer kepada network of multiple business and individual that concern throughout the flow of the product. So I think in second topic tadi kita dah jelaskan what is actually the supply chain management, how it came from the suppliers and then throughout the manufacturers, kemudian kepada distributors and then kepada retailers. So that is actually the flow of the product which is actually a part of supply chain. And then labor market adalah refer kepada people in the environment who can hire to work for the organisation. Okay, so ini adalah merujuk kepada individu-individu yang mana kita boleh ambil dia bekerja untuk menjadi sebahagian daripada organisasi itu. So ini adalah contoh sample external environment. So saya rasa macam a bit smaller. I even cannot read whatever that they just share here. So you may refer to your textbook. So let's move for the general environment. First, reflect to the elements of internal. So manager must consider the international dimension. For example, that event originated from the foreign country. Kalau di Malaysia ni mungkin kita tengok kepada negara-negara ASEAN lah. And then new opportunities for companies from the other countries, right? And then new competitors and suppliers and also customer daripada kita tengok international level, and then new technological, socials and also economic trend. So bukan saja daripada dalam negara, tapi kita kena go beyond the international level. Contoh kalau misalnya di Malaysia ni kita ada local produk, fashion produk contohnya kan. So kita selain daripada kita mengeluarkan kita punya local fashion produk ni, kita kena tengok lah produk-produk daripada overseas. Kita ada Shiseido, and then kita ada apa lagi? Revlon, L'Oreal contohnya. So benda-benda tu kita kena ambil berat lah bila kita berada dalam kita panggil market ataupun kita ada dalam certain kinds of business organisasi tu. And then we move to technology. So this one also very general environment. And then it related to the ideas of scientific and technology advancement in a specific industry as well as in society at large. So it able to advance certain drive competitions and help innovative companies gain certain market shares, and then industry that fail to adopt will face decline. So teknologi ni memainkan satu kita panggil keadaan yang sangat penting. So each of organisation tu mesti tahu berkaitan dengan teknologi. Tak kisahlah sama ada melalui media massa, Facebook, Instagram dan sebagainya. Lepas tu contoh kalau you are producing on something on certain product, you need to know what is actually the best machine and the latest machine to produce your product tu. So tak bolehlah pakai manual kan. So you mesti berubah ataupun you need to adapt with the current technology dimension. And then you need to dealing with the advancements in terms of technology, and then to ensure that you able to success in certain industry. Then it also relate to the ideas of social culture with reflect the ideas of demographic. characteristic, norm, customs and also values which is related to the ideas of people. Selalunya social culture ni melibatkan masyarakat lah. So important social culture characteristic adalah selalunya geographical distribution, population density, age and also education level. For example, if you want to come up with a certain product, kalau di Malaysia ni mestilah halal salah satunya. So, kemudian kalau you nak buka any kinds of franchise, you kena tengok kepada dia punya geographical distribution. Kena tengok ramai tak orang di sesuatu kawasan. Kena buat survey dulu, kan? Kemudian kalau nak buat certain produk, contohnya produk yang berkaitan dengan makanan sihat ataupun healthy food. So, you need to see population density ataupun age dekat area tu. So, kalau kebanyakannya di kawasan-kawasan tu warga emas, 60 years old and above, so no point lah you are selling a sandwich. They don't even eat that kinds of food. So kalau you are promoting very healthy food, and then you boleh promote within the areas of people yang mengamalkan gaya hidup yang sihat. Mungkin dalam umur-umur di awal 20-an, 30-an yang mereka mengambil berat tentang dia orang punya fitness contohnya. Okay, so that is how you will look at the social cultural dimension. And then towards the cultural trend, it related to the technological savvy customers and then ideas of widespread social equality and also the ideas of growing diversities. So that is how the ideas of social cultural dimension will get within the organizations of environment. Then we move to the ideas of economic as the general environment. We look at the economic dimension. So we need to look at the economic health of the country or region, in which areas or your organization will operate. So it may include the consumer purchasing power, they're able to buy your product or not. Ataupun unemployment rate. Tengok dekat kawasan tu ramai tak orang yang tidak bekerja. So kalau yang tak ada sumber pendapatan, macam mana dia nak beli barang, betul tak? So and then you need to look at the interest rate. Tu pun melalui salah satu kita panggil keperluan jugalah sebagai parts of organisation economic environment. Because most of organisation today, they start to operate in the global environment. So economic dimension ni become very complex and able to create certain ataupun create the certain uncertainty lah for the managers ni. So it become the very huge challenge for the manager. Then we move to legal political. So it related to the government regulations at local, state, federal level as well as the political activities. Okay, so you tengok sama ada what is actually the conditions of the political in that area. What actually government implement the law or regulation in that local area or state. They are supporting the certain kinds of business, for example. And then manager need to work with the lawmaker. So they need to educate the lawmaker about the certain product, and legislation that have been made by the lawmaker must impact on the business strategies. Contoh kalau di Malaysia ni mesti produk tu adalah halal. Okay, so kalau misalnya produk tu tidak halal, agak susah lah kalau you nak jual. Sebab most of the kita punya majority people in Malaysia adalah beragama Islam. Dan selalunya orang yang membuat undang-undang ataupun the government ni, dia akan apply produk-produk daripada local brand lah. Ataupun dia promoting ideas about the belilah barang buatan Malaysia. Selalunya lebih halal, terjamin kualitinya, compare kepada produk-produk yang you import daripada outside. Contohnya macam sausage, fish ball. Yang kadang-kadang kita ada sedikit keraguan lah mengenai dia punya status dan sebagainya. Sekejap halal, sekejap tidak. So that is actually the major important things you need to look at when you want to start your own business or when you want to develop your organization on certain things. So that is actually the functions of manager to identify and need to work hard with the lawmaker to know what actually rules and regulation that have been applied at certain place. And then when we are discussing about the legal and political, so it apply the specific or certain tools. For example, that OSHA, they also have EPA, Fair Trade Practice, Legal Statutes, Consumer Protections and Privacy Legislation. They also have Product Safety Requirement. Kalau misalnya ada benda-benda yang apa kita panggil boleh menghakis. Contohnya kalau produk-produk yang boleh membawa masalah kepada jantung, so KKM tak akan keluarkan dia punya serial nombor tu kan. So that is one of the issue lah. Import and export limitation, alright, information and labelling requirements. Selalunya kalau produk-produk yang dijual di Malaysia ni, kita kena tengok dia punya labelling information dia mesti adalah sahih, dan kalau misalnya benda tu didapati incomplete, and then you can be charged by the law and regulation made by the government. So mungkin kena fine, kena penjara, kena denda, ataupun mungkin you punya produk tu akan disita. So that is among the elements of specific tool when we are discussing about legal and political what we call dimension. Then we move to natural dimension, which related to all elements that occur naturally on Earth, so including plants, animals, rock, natural resources such as air, water, and also climate. Okay, so organisation must be very sensitive to the environment. That's why kalau kita tengok, most of my student kadang-kadang bila saya tanya, okay, apakah certain produk yang kita panggil natural friendly, for example. So diorang akan kata Body Shop sebab dia tak buat test on animal. That is one of the product. If you can see like currently pun most of Starbucks, they are not using plastic cup, but they are using paper cup. That is one of the methods. And then some of mall ataupun shopping mall, they try to avoid the using of plastic bag, but they ask you to bring your own shopping bag. And then it may able to increase the importance and also pressure towards the importance of the environment towards us. And then we have natural dimensions does not have its own voice. So we need to take care about our environment, especially plants, animal, to ensure that we able to get a very fresh air, a clean water, and to ensure to avoid the very change in the climate, for example. All right. So that is the functions and responsibility of us as the people to ensure that everything must be done in a proper way. So try to reuse and recycle. So this is among the actions and policies done by the environmental group. For example, like they try to reductions and clean up the pollution day by day. For example, in Malaysia, we are promoting about the ideas of kongsi kereta, developments of renewable and energy resources, reductions of the greenhouse gases, ethical treatments of animal. Yang ni saya kata ada certain product dia tak tested on animals. And then sustainable use on scarce resources. Okay, so kita menggunakan resources tu dengan begitu baik lah. Ataupun contoh kalau kita come up with the furniture, for example, we try to less cutting off the trees in forests. So that is the one way how we try to sustain the use of certain resources. So this is actually among the environmental performance index. If you can see Finland, Iceland, Sweden, Denmark. So they are very good in terms of to ensure their performance index will be in the first place, how they protect their environment performance. But in certain issue, it lead to environmental uncertainties, which reflects about the duties or responsibilities of managers. Some managers do not have sufficient information about the environmental factor, and then they need to or less understanding and predict the environmental needs and also changes. Okay, so environmental characteristic that able to influence uncertainties, for example, the numbers of factors that affect the organization and also extent to which those factors changes. So that is actually among the functions of the managers. So managers, if you are good enough, then you need to know everything surrounding you, what do and don'ts, what you can do, what actually your responsibility towards people, not only towards your employees, but towards the organization, towards the environment, towards the economic dimensions, towards the legal politic dimension. So you need to know everything in order to avoid the ideas of uncertainty. But normally environmental uncertainty is actually happen. If you can see in Malaysia also, we are dealing with lots of kinds of pollution because of dysfunctions of the manager itself. So it related to the high levels of uncertainty. Many external factor or internal factor change rapidly. And then they also have low uncertainty, few external factor, and external factor are quite stable. So you can understand by looking at this 3.4 figures on how low uncertainty and then how high uncertainty that reflect the adapt to the environment. So how to adapt the environment? So basically related to the strategic issues, for example, like event or forces either inside or outside organization that are likely to alter its ability to achieve its objective. So you are dealing with the certain issues that able to force the organization to alter its ability in order to achieve what they want to achieve, right? And then boundary spanning refer to the action that link to and also coordinate the organization with key elements, with the ideas of external environment, for example, throughout the ideas of business intelligence, throughout the big data analytic, and then also competitive intelligence. So this is among the elements for the boundary spanning. So this is the example what I just list just now. You can see business intelligence resulting of using sophisticated software to search about the internal and external data to spot the patterns, trend, and also the relationship. What happened? And then spot what actually the issues of environment happen. Okay, so you can know through the ideas of business intelligence. And then big data analysis in order to search something examined the massive complex sets of data to uncover certain hidden patterns, and also it able to make a very good decision through the data that you get. And then competitive intelligence is actually reflect to the activity to get as much as important information about rivals. So you may also relate to the ideas of merging two or more organizations combined to become one, or you also may to adapt throughout the ideas of environment through the ideas of joint venture. So that is the ones of the very strategic alliance or program between two or more organizations. So when it occurs when a project is too complex, expensive, or uncertain for one firm to handle it alone, so you may propose other companies or other organizations to join you to adapt with the environment. So that is actually among the examples of external environment. Now we want to know about the internal environment. So normally internal will relate to things within the organization. So example like corporate culture, sets of key values, belief, understanding, and norms that share by the members of the organization. So they may share about the same symbol, same story, same heroes, slogan, and also they will attending the same ceremonies, because this is actually among the elements under the corporate culture. So this is the levels of corporate culture. So something which is visible. Visible ni maksudnya you nampak lah. Artifacts such as pakaian, office layout, symbol kan. Ataupun kita tengok logo lah, selalunya symbol ni. And then slogan, apa dia punya, apa kita panggil, motto, visi, misi tu ataupun ceremonies, ataupun sesuatu yang kita panggil invisible tu maksud benda yang kita tak nampak. Okay, ataupun belief, such as people here care about one another like a family. So benda tu kita tak nampak. Macam mana cara caring tu, perasaan sayang antara satu sama lain tu, benda tu kita tak nampak. So that is actually reflect the deeper values and share understanding held by the organisation members. Macam mana kita menghormati, appreciate. So kita tak boleh nak nilai. Banyak mana nilai kasih sayang tu, banyak mana nilai respect tu. So itu yang kita katakan benda tu adalah deeper values and share understanding. Hanya kita bila kita tahu, okay, dia caringkan kita, dia hormat kita contohnya, okay, kita tahu bahawa value tu adalah wujud, tapi kita tak nampak. Okay, so this is the explanations of the elements that I shared just now, which is related to the symbol, okay, and then story, and then about the figure, and then slogan, and also ceremony. So in the corporate culture, dia ada 4 types. Antaranya adalah adaptability culture, benda yang fleksibel lah. And then achievement culture, and then they also have involvement culture, and also have consistency culture. So for the next slide, we will see what actually reflect each of these elements of the 4 types of corporate culture in organization. So let's see. Adaptability culture characterized by the value that support the company ability to rapidly detect, interpret and translate signal from the environment into new behavior response. So kita adapt dengan keadaan tu dan kita akan berubah mengikut keadaan-keadaan tertentu. Okay, so achievement culture result oriented, that culture that values competitiveness, aggressiveness, personal initiative, cost cutting and willing to work long and also able to work hard to achieve the certain result. Sebab achievement ni merujuk kepada satu KPI lah ataupun kita panggil satu objektif or matlamat yang kita nak achieve. Okay, so kalau kita ada satu culture yang berkaitan dengan achievement tu, kita akan menggunakan beberapa kaedah untuk mencapainya. Contohnya kalau kita nak dapat projek yang besar, for example for the organisation, so you akan bekerja keras. Okay, you will try to come up with your own skill, with your own capability. Mungkin you akan over time work hard for that in order to achieve the certain result. So involvement culture, which actually reflect to the place high values on meeting the needs of the employees and also values cooperation and equality. So kalau dalam involvement culture ni selalunya when they start to engage between the employees or employer and they start to promote the ideas of cooperation and understanding and everybody are equal. Right? So it will involve everybody as a parts of the objective of the organization, for example. So consistency culture values following the rules and three fitness and reward a methodical, rational, orderly way of doing things. So benda ni adalah reflect kepada consistency. Contohnya kita bagi reward, benda yang sangat rational and then melakukan sesuatu perkara tu dalam satu keadaan yang konsisten lah, berturut-turut. Macam tu. So dia lebih tersusun contohnya. Okay, so it related to the rules and regulation or on certain things kita boleh katakan sebagai enforcement. So, shaping corporate culture for innovative response, selalunya corporate culture ni memainkan peranan yang sangat penting in order for the process of learning and also able to innovate respond within the organisation. Treat from the external environment, itu salah satunya. Challenge new opportunities and also try to organisation certain crisis. So, in order to overcome this situation, so kita memerlukan certain corporate culture lah. Okay, to ensure that all people within the organisation are able to have their own corporate culture for the purpose of the successful of the organisation that involve as parts of their function. Then we look at the high performance culture, basically based on the solid organisation missions of purpose. So they are shared adaptive values that guide decision and business practice, and also it encourage individual employee ownership at the bottom line result and the organisation cultural backbone. So this is the functions of manager to ensure it able to create and influence organisation culture untuk achieve certain objective. So that's why it related to the high performance culture. So apa objektif yang hendak dicapai contohnya. Okay. So dia akan menggalakkan individual ni untuk bersungguh-sungguh lah dan menjadi tulang belakang kepada sesuatu corporate culture yang diamalkan dalam sesebuah organisasi itu. So this is actually how to show you how to combine the culture and also the performance. So you boleh tengok kalau dia berada di level high ni, so kita kena ada elemen ni. So kalau dia nak berada di bahagian low ni, so dia ini adalah dia punya, kita panggil apa tu, pecahan-pecahan dia lah. So ada Q, quadrant A, B, C and D. So it related to the functions of manager lah sebenarnya. Sebab manager ni adalah tulang belakang ataupun backbone towards the successful of the organisation itself. So kalau ada manager yang bagus, so automatically dia dapat manage employees dengan baik. So normally they will achieve the certain objective of the establishments of the organisation. So when we are discussing about the leadership, so of course we also related to the ideas of cultural leadership. So cultural leaders are one who define and use signals and symbol to influence the ideas of corporate culture. That's why kalau kita nak katakan dalam sesebuah organisasi tu, leaders tu adalah role model ataupun contoh terbaik yang menjadi cerminan kepada organisasi. So kalau kita nak tengok bagaimana rupa employees dalam sesebuah department tu, kita kena tengok leader dia. Kalau leader dia efficient, selalunya dia akan try to empower dia punya employees tu untuk menjadi seperti mana dia lah, ataupun dia menjadi satu mentor yang sangat baik. So influence culture by the cultural leaders ni ada two key areas. Sama ada dia articulate a vision for the organisation, so that employees boleh percaya tentang benda tu, ataupun heads the day-to-day activities that reinforce the cultural vision, ataupun dia akan monitor dalam setiap satu activity tu, so that indirectly dia akan membentuk satu, kita panggil visions toward the culture, apa sebenarnya yang organisasi ini nak. So itulah pentingnya the involvements of the leaders to develop the ideas of cultural leaders tu. So selalunya leader ni ada setengah-setengah orang kata dia lahir, maksud born to be a leader. Tapi ada setengah-setengah orang kata leader ni perlu dibentuk dan boleh belajar untuk menjadi leadership, untuk menjadi leader lah. Ataupun ada setengah-setengah orang tu dia memang dah ada leadership skill lah. Daripada sekolah tu kita tengok ada apa kita panggil ciri-ciri sebagai seorang leader yang baik. Okay, so I think that's all for this lesson. So I hope to see you for the chapter 4 soon. And then if you have any question regarding this topic, you may let me know about it. All right, so have a nice day everyone, and then thank you so much for your time, and then I really hope that you enjoy our discussions on this topic, which is related to the chapter 3. All right, okay, thank you guys, bye.